Back now on The Race, I'm David Gregory. Good to have you here. It's getting ugly out there, and we've got new information at the half hour here as the Obama campaign just now fires back to McCain's fourth consecutive attack ad as the straight-talking maverick turned into the unhappy warrior. We're back talking about it, taking it on, and back with us, Pat Buchanan, MSNBC political analyst, Rachel Maddow, host of The Rachel Maddow Show on Air America, and MSNBC political analyst, Harold Ford Jr., chairman of the Democratic Leadership Council and an NBC News analyst, and Michael Smerconish, radio talk show host on WPHT in Philly and columnist for both the Philadelphia Inquirer and the Philadelphia Daily News. First up, big controversy today, ad wars between McCain and Obama heating up. It all started with this ad from the McCain campaign attacking Obama as an empty celebrity. Watch.
He's the biggest celebrity in the world. But is he ready to lead? With gas prices soaring, Barack Obama says no to offshore drilling and says he'll raise taxes on electricity. Higher taxes, more foreign oil. That's the real Obama.
I'm John McCain, and I approve this message.
And now the Obama campaign has just responded with a new ad of its own. Watch this.
He's practicing the politics of the past. John McCain. His attacks on Barack Obama, not true. False. Baloney. The low road. Baseless. John McCain. Same old politics, same failed policies. Barack Obama supports a $1,000 middle-class tax cut, an energy plan that takes on oil companies, develops alternative fuels, and breaks the grip of foreign oil. That's change we can believe in.
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
Rachel Maddow, let me start with you in terms of response. We're dealing with a couple of things here. It's the politics of the moment, but it's also an emerging narrative and debate in this campaign. Another first, by the way, is Britney Spears being mentioned in the same context as offshore drilling.
Yes, exactly.
But
that's why everybody hates Britney. It's her foreign oil dependence.
Exactly. But on these first, because it's easy to sort of say, okay, this is just, the back and forth. What does it mean? But there's a larger narrative here and a debate that's going on. Your take on it all.
The larger narrative, I think, here is that Barack Obama is sort of an empty suit, that Barack Obama sort of doesn't deserve this. And I think we heard Pat articulate some of this at the top of the show today as well, this idea that Obama doesn't really know his place, that Obama is being presumptuous. We saw that certainly with Dana Milbank's, I think, very over-the-top column today in the Washington Post. Honestly, I'm very troubled by this being sort of run with the way it is broadly in the media and in all quarters of the media, left, right, and center. Frankly, it's John McCain who's been running weekly radio addresses as if he's president. He literally ran 2 ads in May that both described him as President McCain. I mean, in terms of who's acting like he's already president, he gave speeches talking about what the world is going to be like at the end of his first term. And nobody said, who does John McCain think he is? But people are willing to say that about the young candidate, the black candidate, in a way that I think is not at all driven by the facts of how these candidates are behaving, but by who they are. I think it really reflects a national prejudice, not the campaigns.
Pat, go ahead.
Look, Rachel's reaction and the fact that Barack Obama is himself responding now to this ad of McCain's, which I didn't think was that effective, tells me 2 things. One, it is getting under his skin, and secondly, it is having an effect. Now, the issue in this campaign is not the economy or everything. The issue is Barack Obama. Should he be president of the United States? And the McCain people ineffectually are going right at him. But the response from Obama tells me he knows that's the problem they got. And frankly, it's working to some degree. And I think Milbank, the more effective, more credible people are people like Milbank and journalists and others from Barack's own camp who put this stuff out there.
What about this? I'm sorry.
Let me just bring in Harold on this point because, Harold, you've seen the good, bad, and the ugly here as a politician running campaigns. But you certainly know the issue of defining your opponent and rather defining yourself before your opponent does it. There is a contest on right now between McCain and Obama to define Obama, which, as I said at the top of the program, is ironic given that McCain is always a politician who's relied on his own biography.
John,
so what do you make of all of that?
I think 2 things. One, John McCain has decided to hire the worst elements of the Bush operation and some of the worst elements and unseemly elements of the Republican Party to now come in and run his ads. That was always expected. I would hope the Obama campaign is not surprised by it. If I were giving him advice on how to respond, I would not follow Pat. I agree with Pat a lot, but I think you have to respond to this because they are now making a direct and obvious and concerted effort to define Senator Obama for many Americans who have only heard of him, who only know that he speaks well. If I were advising the campaign tonight, I'd urge him to find third-party validators on the foreign policy side, some of the esteemed and distinguished members of his foreign policy team now to come forward and talk about Barack's ability, his experience, and the confidence they have in him. I would even reach out to some on the economic team and have them talk about why Bush and McCain's policies don't work and won't work going forward. Otherwise, you're going to find McCain continuing to walk down this path. And it's something that I know the Obama campaign is very sensitive to, smart about, and with all due respect to Rachel and Pat, as someone who's run for statewide office back in Tennessee, I can tell you the National Republican Party and John McCain will become one. And John McCain, as Rachel was saying, John McCain's above the board, 2000 image, this Straight Talk Express will all be shoved to the back seat or shoved off or shoved overboard because their only purpose right now is trying to win this race.
You are suggesting by what you are saying that McCain's stuff is working. You don't respond to somebody if it's a punch thrown at you that didn't hit you. Barack Obama is responding like a guy who's been clipped in the jaw and is angry, and he's coming back. But you don't get angry if you're winning. This stuff has got to be working, and Barack Obama's campaign is responding as though it is working, Harold. I'm not giving him advice one way or the other, but by what he does, you can tell what his campaign is thinking.
Well, but hold on one second. I'm not suggesting. My only point is third-party validators. Can you imagine a David Boren or Richard Holbrooke or Madeleine Albright or Bob Rubin making the case? I would agree with you in one part, Pat, that while Barack doesn't want to seem defensive about this, I mean, that certainly wouldn't be the route to go. But I think if you allow this impression to lay out there and to go unchallenged, I think it hurts it.
Harold. Well, brush him off. You said the guy's got nothing nice to say.
But Pat, we've been on shows together, and you've remarked about how many Americans view Barack as perhaps a risky choice. He has to understand that as an issue. The polling suggests that even though some polls show Barack ahead by as many as 5 to 8 points, the reality is a majority of Americans think that Barack may be a more riskier choice than John McCain. So Senator Obama has to be mindful of that. I'm not saying you get defensive or you get petty or silly, but you have to respond.
John McCain ads, I don't think these McCain ads we've seen have great credibility or great fight at all, quite frankly. Everything we've seen here, I think, frankly, the ludicrous thing is a real problem for Barack Obama because it's credible from some guy in his own camp. But I think the fact that he's responding this...
But Pat, ludicrous is not in Barack. Ludicrous is not.
But ludicrous. But let me tell you, that is what people are concerned about, Barack. Let me tell you this, Harold. That's what folks in West Virginia and others, they're saying, this guy's a really polite, neat guy, got a good sense of humor, he's smooth. And this stuff, raw stuff, comes right in your face from Reverend Wright, from this guy who's on his iPod. It comes from all these other folks, Reverend Flager. They're saying, wait a minute, has this guy got one foot in this kooky, radical left, anti-American, racially hyped campaign?
I want to get in. I want to go to Smirk on this point, which is this issue of whether you respond to not. I do think that Obama has to respond. I see a contest here between the two. There is, for both of them, an acceptability threshold. And Obama has to be sensitive to being defined in a way that makes him risky, or risky in the sense of, do we know where this guy's coming from? Do we know what his judgment will be like on foreign affairs, domestic affairs? Do we trust him as a leader, or is he all hype? This is what, of course, the Clinton campaign started against him. Obama, by the way, as well, McCain also has to fight the charge, as the Obama team brought up today, which is this the same McCain that we always knew? Which is a way of saying he's not the maverick in 2000, he's sold himself out to George Bush, or he's just losing it, that he's past his prime politically. So, Smirk, your comment.
My comment is you absolutely have to fight this, and A, you have the money to fight it, and B, you've got to attack the credibility of it. My initial reaction was the same as what I'm hearing from Pat, which is essentially to say it's so sophomoric, it's so simplistic, who in the hell could believe any of this stuff? On one hand, you're saying that Barack Obama has such a thin resume, and on the other hand, you're blaming him for $4.25 gas prices. Then you're saying he wouldn't go visit the troops who were wounded in Germany. And then it becomes this issue of he's Britney Spears or Lindsay Lohan. Yeah. I think there's a pattern to it, though, Pat. I think you're not the intended audience. I think the intended audience are non-college educated folks who are out there, and they are half paying attention, and this sort of thing interspersed in between Wheel of Fortune and American Idol resonates with people. And so Barack Obama has to take it on for that reason.
But by taking it on, he's engaging on his own character and personality. I'm not sure that's what he wants to do.